Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawah Shai, Waharakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone or Roel. Peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful elect of Israel. All right, this is Genesis chapter 41. Well, this lesson, I'm going to get an example, maybe a couple examples, showing you that Yahawah, which is the true name of God, is only dealing with the nation of Israel. And one thing I was meditating on yesterday, I was reading Genesis, the story of Joseph, and Joseph being the son of Jacob. And Pharaoh saw that our God is real and that, he gave Joseph the interpretations of his dream, yet notice that it's still our God, right? Also, Moses, all those plagues came upon that Pharaoh, which was a different guy at the time. Still, all right, they still don't worship our God, and they still don't, And then another thing, Daniel, like Nebuchadnezzar, he saw that, still didn't. Cyrus, Pilate, they see all these miracles and all these things happen to our people and these strange phenomenons, and they know that it's coming from our God, which is a true God, but do they worship him? No, because they know that he's the God of the Israelites. All right, that he's the God of the Hebrews, not everybody. Okay, he chose the nation of Israel, and they know that, which is why they don't do that stuff. All right. So this is Genesis chapter 41. I'll start at verse 1. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed a second time. And behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the 6 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward and the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, I and he, we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man in Hebrew, which was Joseph, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams, to each man according to his dream he did interpret. And it came to pass as he interpreted to us, so it was me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself and changed his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, In my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. And the lean and the ill-favored kine did eat up the first 7 fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored as at the beginning. So I awoke, and I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up, and one stalk full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered thin, and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. But I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one, and the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land, and the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because a thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Forasmuch as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word, all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. All right, so that's basically the point. Okay? Let me get another one. Another good one could be... Salakia. I think it's sooner. Khan. I'm going to skip to the point. This is the last example I'm going to get. So it shows, that the people, Daniel's 3 friends didn't bow to that idol that they set up. I'll start at verse 12. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning, fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. And he answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed. Neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language would speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. He kept saying their God, the God of. So they know that Yahawah is the God of the Israelites and nobody else. Yahawah has made it very clear all throughout the Bible that he is only dealing with the nation of Israel, and that he chose the nation of Israel to be his people. Oh, there's going to be a lot of precepts, isn't there? That just shows how many precepts there are regarding that. I'm pretty sure there's a specific precept that I'm looking for, though. Oh, that's Jeremiah 7:23. But this thing commanded I them, saying, Obey my voice, and I will be your God, and ye shall be my people, and walk ye in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you. That just shows how many precepts there are, man. This is Ezekiel chapter 37. I'll go down to verse 21. And say unto them, Thus saith Yahawah, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more 2 nations, neither shall they be divided into 2 kingdoms, talking about the southern and northern kingdom, any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God. Amos chapter 3 verse 1, hear this word that Yahawah has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. So he chose his people, he has his people, and he's our God. All right, he created the earth and all the people, yes, but he chose to be the God and the power over one nation of people. All right, that's the people that he chose to put above everybody else. Okay, so he's our God to serve. In the future, we will force the heathen nations to serve him and to keep his laws and, etc. But this shows you that salvation is for the Israelites. We're the people that are going to be redeemed. All right. The Israelites are going to be redeemed, not anybody else. All right. That's why it says the end of Esau and the beginning of Jacob. All right. That's pretty clear. Jacob, his name was changed to Israel. All right, this is 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 54. After these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. Who is our? Who is this speaking? This is Ezra. Ezra is an Israelite. As for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? If you go up, 2 Ezra chapter 6, I'll start at verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Pretty blatantly obvious, all right? He's only dealing with the nation of Israel. Lord willing, we're part of the elect, all right? Lord willing, we're part of the elect, okay? And that we can be delivered out of this, out of the destruction in these times that are coming. But if you're a so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, all right, or a confusion of face, no matter what you look like, if your father's seed line goes back to a tribe, then you need to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. You need to get trained up and then go out and teach the word, man. All right? So with that said, I want to give all praises to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and rule well. Peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful elect of Israel. Shalom.